In today's episode, we are going to be talking about a lot of breaking news. Things like Ilya Dragunov leaving the company potentially. Along with that, we're going to be talking about some Reddit comments and some tweets that have been sent out by wrestlers within the company. Along with that, we're going to be just touching on Raw and SmackDown. I don't have too much to talk about from that, but I do have some other exciting questions that I'm going to answer along the way. So please join me, and I bet you'll love this episode.
Look at this! Look at this! ZigZag! ZigZag! Cover!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the ZigZag Wrestling Club. My name is Corbin, and thank you for joining me here today. We've had a very mellow week in wrestling, I would say. I really don't have too much just basing off of Raw and SmackDown at the moment. Pretty much this entire episode, for the most part, is just going to be some things that I randomly just decided to talk about, some things I found on Reddit, some things I found on Twitter, and I am pretty excited to kind of just go ahead and jump right into it. But we kind of got to start it off with some like pretty freaking breaking news. And again, I will do a video here soon up on my YouTube channel talking about who I think the worst releases in the past 2 or 3 years have been. And this one is probably going to be near the top of the list. Ilya Dragunov is leaving the company. I think it's pretty much confirmed. I think there is potentially like maybe a 5-10% chance he ends up staying. Maybe they come to an agreement. But I think that WWE Creative have, for some reason, just embedded this idea in their head that Ilya Dragunov is not the solution. I think they were using him as kind of a band-aid for the mid-card, I guess, is kind of what they are making it sound like, and I think that that's just ridiculous. I mean, whenever you sit there and talk about in-ring work, the person that should come to your mind is Ilya Dragunov. I mean, the dude's an absolute beast, and I think him leaving is going to do the company more damage than good. Like, keeping him around, now granted, I'm not saying you should leave him in catering, because you shouldn't. And I think that's one of the main reasons he is leaving. I don't think they're cutting him. I think he is choosing to leave from what I've read. And he's been in catering for too long. And he's probably the last person on the roster that deserves to be doing nothing with the company, along with people like Johnny Gargano and Carmelo Hayes, which that's something also we can potentially talk about. There are rumors going around that Carmelo Hayes could potentially leave, Johnny Gargano as well. Candice LeRae obviously would go with him. I saw something that said Damian Priest would leave, but I think, that's just people spreading rumors online. If that's the case, that's another one that would be up there for worst release of the year. And so I think that some of these releases that they've been doing recently, which we're going to talk about another one later in this episode, actually, yeah, literally right after this. It's just that, like, they just aren't making sense. Like, the only one I can even somewhat understand is like Tonga Loa and JC Mateo or Jeff Cobb, just because they weren't doing anything. They weren't adding anything to the product. But to release someone who is actually adding something to the product, he's adding banger matches. He's defending his title every single week whenever he had the U.S. Championship. Whenever he's having these backstage segments that aren't like the greatest mic skill ever, but he's literally just there letting people know just like, hey, like, pain will entertain you. And that was his whole thing. And was that like the greatest shtick ever? No. But that defied his character pretty damn well, in my opinion. And so they said that, his mic skill maybe wasn't good enough, and so we wanted to leave him off TV. But, like, people freaking loved Ilya Dragunov, and he was such a good worker. And I think, like I was referring to earlier, the biggest problem with him leaving isn't that, like, oh, WWE's losing, like, a top guy, who I personally think could be a top guy. No, they are giving a very good wrestler to AEW. I think that's, like, where I would, like, bet all of my money that's where he's going to go, and the dude's going to absolutely shine over there, and he's going to become a massive star, legitimately. And I think that AEW are going to get more eyes because Ilya Dragunov is leaving, because that's how much people love Ilya Dragunov. And so it's like, I don't really understand what we're doing here. I don't know why you would release someone as popular as Ilya. This is kind of on the same lines as Sheamus. Whenever Sheamus got released, what I was thinking about was, okay, like this sucks because I love Sheamus, but I don't know why they would choose to release him considering he's going to go to another company and there's such a massive following of Sheamus, they're going to go with him. We saw that with Chris Jericho. We saw that with Edge or Cope. We've seen that with a bunch of different people. Nick Nemeth, that's another one, getting eyes on TNA. Like, we are talking about people leaving the company and they have such a massive fan following, which again comes from the fact that wrestling fans are some of the most passionate people on the planet. They really are. And they're so passionate about a wrestler. They're like, okay, if he's going, I'm going to go with him. And I'm not saying that these people just stop watching WWE altogether, because that's not true. But most people who are big fans of Ilya Dragunov will see him make his debut at All In AEW, which is in a few weeks, which, by the way, would be a perfect opportunity. He's not under any sort of contract clause. He can just show up on AEW in a few weeks because he chose to leave. People are going to follow him and watch All In, and you might lose viewers. You might see people like go over to AEW and watch it, and they sit there and they go, whoa, this is so much better than what's going on in WWE. And I think that that's something that WWE needs to focus on, because, and I'm not saying the product right now is bad. It's been in not the greatest spot ever, but like I'm still entertained by it. They need to find a way to make sure people don't watch AEW, because AEW might fit some people's idea of professional wrestling better than WWE does right now, and they will lose viewership. I've watched AEW before. It's not my personal cup of tea. I'm, a bit more of a storytelling guy. Their storytelling, for me, isn't great. Now, again, I don't consistently watch it, so maybe it would get better. And if you like AEW, that's totally fine. I think it's like the in-ring is fantastic, but for me, it's like I don't really understand the whole dynamic of I'm gonna hit you with 8,000 finishers and you're gonna kick out. To me, that's not storytelling. To me, that's like more of a dance, which I know that might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I'm not hating on that. If you want to watch people do all these sick moves in a ring, and granted, like it doesn't mean anything, but you want to see them do all these sick moves, fine by me. That's dope. I mean, it looks cool, but there's kind of just like no passion with each move. That's just kind of what I feel like. But just going back to Ilya Dragunov, he's going to go to AEW and he's going to bring people with him. And WWE, I feel like, has massively, massively screwed the pooch. Next person I want to talk about, we got a tweet pulled up here. So we got Angel Garza. Angel Garza came online and decided to make a comment on people's reaction to the writing. Now, I'm not going to say I completely disagree with him, but I do just want to play devil's advocate off of his tweet really quick. Angel Garza went online and he said, "You all would suck as writers, LMAO, LMAO, LMAO. Wanting everything in one show, no story, just going straight to the climax and finishing it. That's why you don't work on this. Keep your ass at home and stay tuned." Now, here's the thing, Angel. I do like him, decently like him. I like, again, I think I've talked about this before. Most people would suck at writing because there's a bunch of hoops you have to jump through with, your sponsorships and your companies and who you're working with, and Disney's involved and this and that. Like, I think everybody would suck as writers, and I'm not saying he's wrong for that. Here's what I think is wrong. I don't think everybody wants everything in one show. I think we just want some, and excuse my language, turn this down if you got a kid present. I think everybody just wants some fucking payoff, like legitimately. The problem is we are expecting an outcome. We get to this climax, and whenever we start the resolution, you cut off the resolution. It's not this thing of like, oh man, I want LA Knight to, randomly bump into Roman Reigns and he's going to win the title tonight. I don't want that because from that perspective, your tweet is right. I know there are some people that are like, oh my gosh, Raw sucks. Why is this all just a bunch of filler? It's not filler. It's not. It's just trying to build up the story a little bit more so we can get that crescendo and we can finally like build up the story and then have that final big boom moment at a pay-per-view or maybe at a bigger Raw or bigger SmackDown. The problem is, and I'm going to use someone who got released as an example, and there are many, many times where this has happened. Now, this is a bit of an extreme one, and it's the one that's just sticking out in my head, and the one that I've been very vocal about. Let me compare this to the whole Kairi Sane situation. Now stay with me really quick. He sits here and he talks about, what does he say? Wanting everything in one show, no story, just going straight to the climax and finishing it. Here's the problem, is we don't have everything in one show. We start the Kairi Sane redemption tour. That's what I'm going to call this. We see that Asuka is berating her. We see that Io Sky is like, do you not see what's happening? And over the course of, I shit you not, 8 months, we develop this amazing story, and the crowd organically, not forced at all, organically gets behind a heel in Kairi Sane, and people are chanting her name. People are posting about her, tweeting about her. She's getting like really solid TV time, tag team champion. And they have this entire great story based around Kairi Sane finally going to stand up against Asuka, and she is going to join Io Sky, I guess, and she's going to realize that she's been getting taken advantage of by Asuka for a long time. And you built up this story, and everybody was so immersed in the story. And what do? Again, cover your ears really quick. You fucking cut her from the company. So Angel Garza, we don't want everything in one show. We just want some payoff. If they had literally just waited a month, and let's say Io Sky versus Asuka happened, and Kairi Sane like trips up Asuka, and then Io Sky gets the win, and they have this moment in the ring where Kairi Sane leaves Asuka in the middle and decides to join Io. Like, literally, it could have been anything. Could have been that simple. And then maybe you have a one-on-one match, Kairi versus Asuka. Kairi wins, boom, and then she leaves the company. That's all you had to do. You had to wait 1 month. But instead, you chose not to finish the story. You chose to play up a story over the course of 8 months just to give the fans no payoff. And what do you do instead? What you do instead is you go, okay, we're just going to switch up the story and say that Io Sky wasn't a good student of Asuka, and that's why Asuka's mad at her. So you build up 8 months of story just for the 9th month. Instead, you go, oh, let's just change everything and scrap it, and go this direction instead into a story now that nobody cares about. That's the problem with their match at Backlash, is everybody was sitting there just like, we don't give a shit about this at all. Like, we just don't care. And the reason you don't care is because you don't have the main component of the storyline in your company anymore. Like, are you guys following me on this? And I think that it's stupid for Angel Garza to hop on here and be like, wanting everything in one show, no story, just go straight to the climax and finishing it. Do you know what we want? We want you to finish a damn story just one time. One time, give us this long-range story, this 8-month story, and actually finish it out instead of deciding to go a different direction and making this switch and switching that. Just give us an end product. And I think that's why people are complaining. They're like, well, if we're not going to get like the end of a story after 8 months, just build up like a bunch of 2-week things. Because at that point, I would much rather see a 2-week feud that gets finished that 2nd or 3rd week rather than get invested into an 8-month storyline for you to release part of the storyline. Actually, not even part of it. You released the entire storyline. So I think coming on here and Well, that's why you don't work on this. Keep your ass at home and stay tuned. Yeah, we're staying tuned every single week. And we as fans are not getting the payoffs. That's why we're upset with some of the booking. I'm not going to sit here and say that the booking sucks and the booking's this and the booking's that. It's not been my favorite, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. I will sit here and I will sit on this chair and complain time and time again if you build up a massive story and you decide to not actually let it come to fruition. Rant is over. Angel Garza, just stay in catering, big dog. Moving over to SmackDown. So again, SmackDown was pretty abysmal. I thought, except for the main event was great, but if Yachty lasts 5 minutes in a match with Baron Corbin, Trick Williams gets a title shot. So Sunday night's main event. I believe that's next week. This week? I should actually probably figure out if it's this week or next week. I believe it should be the next week. So Sunday night's main event, because I have to give my predictions if that's the case. Oh no, it's September 6th. So it is. So it's not this Sunday. It's the Sunday after that for people who do not know. And so at that point, we are going to get Yachty versus Corbin, and I guess they're just probably going to put up a 5-minute timer. And if Yachty makes it that far, then Trick Williams gets a title shot. Here's the thing: I've been seeing a lot of hate, on this match. I think it's kind of fun. I do. Like, you want to try and implement a manager into like an actual, I'm not going to say high up position, but you need to make them relevant within a story. And if you have Yachty attacking Baron Corbin with a stick, you need some sort of payoff. So Baron Corbin issues the challenge the challenge to Little Yachty. And so Little Yachty is going to step in the ring. And from what we've heard about reports is he's been training, I believe at the dungeon. From what I saw online, he's been training at the dungeon with Natalya and of course Tyson Kidd, as most people know him, and he's been doing that for many months now. I'm excited to see what he can do. I like celebrities in wrestling whenever it's not high stakes. This is not high stakes at all, in my opinion. They're obviously maybe just building towards Trick Williams getting his rematch. Well, what's a fun way we can have Trick Williams get his rematch? Let's have his manager that keeps attacking the champion get in the ring with him. I think it's fun. And I don't like people going online being like, oh, celebrity, it sucks. Celebrity, it's shit. It's like, it's not. Just kind of let this build. Now, I'm not saying that this is some 10 out of 10 storyline, Roman versus Sami Zayn, tribal combat, like whatever you like to think of whenever you think of a great storyline. I'm not saying it's that. I'm just saying that, like, I think this is fun. I think it's a cool opportunity to see Lil Yachty in the ring, considering he's been Trick's manager for such a long time. Gives him an actual role instead of him just like hanging out on the outside and throwing out ad libs in the middle of a match and hitting people with sticks. Like, I think this is pretty cool. I'm gonna pop over to Reddit really quick. I want to react to this Reddit post I saw. Which one is this? Because I have two on here. Yeah, Reddit says, I am a huge fan of Kurt Angle's work. I know people talk about a SummerSlam match with Ray, but my personal favorite is Ray, Kurt, and Orton at WrestleMania 22. By the way, banger match. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. Aside from Ray's big moment, 3 guys went at it at their best. My question is, what is your Mount Rushmore of non-singles matches since you started watching? Okay. Now, of course, I had to change the question up a little bit because it was just general towards Reddit as a whole. So Mount Rushmore, if you guys don't know, it's basically just a top 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Since I started watching, there are many non-singles matches that I liked, but I'm going to steer clear of like ladder matches and things like that. I think I'm mostly just going to be like triple threats, maybe some fatal 4-ways. The first one that comes to my head is gonna be Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus versus Braun Breaker. This match got posted on WWE's YouTube a few months ago. I went back and watched it. My goodness. What a freaking treat we had back then, and I just don't think people knew it. Now, again, this is dated from whenever I started watching again. So I started watching a few months before SummerSlam where Dom and Liv made out. With 24, I believe that was 24. So Ludwig Kaiser, Sheamus, and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. I believe that was, oh man, was that Survivor Series? I really don't even know at this point. It's been so long. That match was incredible because these three dudes beat the absolute piss out of each other. We had the Shillelagh involved. Ludwig Kaiser kept attacking Sheamus week in and week out. Ludwig almost ended up winning the IC title a few weeks prior. Sheamus gets screwed over by Ludwig multiple times, kind of just ignites their feud a little bit more. And yeah, man, what am I supposed to say? This match is a certified banger. Non-singles matches, you gotta put the main event of Evolution. Isn't that what they called it? The all women's event, which would be Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, but cashed in on by Naomi to make it a triple threat. So I'm gonna go ahead and count it. And the reason being is because the match itself between Rhea and Io was great, but whenever Naomi made her cash in, it's now a triple threat. In that moment of seeing Naomi get her moment and she cashes in and she finally gets her big moment where she wins the championship was such a cool thing to see. Now, I think that maybe shouldn't count almost because it was a cash in, and I'm trying not to count ladder matches and stuff. But, and obviously it's non-singles, but she did cash in to make it a triple threat, so I'm going to count it. That was one of the greatest matches of last year, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and count it. All right. My other two, I'm going to go ahead and throw on here. I'm going to have to talk about Roman versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. WrestleMania 41. This match was special. And if you want to think back, the only thing people really remember is Paul Heyman turning on CM Punk and Roman Reigns, which inevitably joins forces with Seth Rollins, and Seth wins that match. The build-up to this match was so incredible because the entire time it was Seth hates both Roman and CM Punk. We've known that he hates them both. And everybody thought that that's why Seth was put into the match. Roman Reigns and CM Punk then hated each other because it's who's getting control of the wise man? And it's the wise man, and it's Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman's kind of siding with CM Punk, and Roman Reigns is mad at him, and so they are just bashing each other the entire match. And at the very end, you end up getting this moment where Paul Heyman turns on CM Punk, Roman's getting ready to hit Seth with the chair, Shades of the Shield, and then Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns. And now joins forces with Seth, hands him the chair, curb stomp, 1, 2, 3. If people didn't watch the build up to this match, maybe it didn't seem as crazy. But man, just what a spectacle we got WrestleMania 41. So that's my other one. And then this is my number one. This is number two. This is behind Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio, WrestleMania 41. Reason being is obviously the outcome. You get Dominic Mysterio winning his first singles title on the main roster. And this match as a whole, just fried. Absolutely fried. You had, spears by Braun Breaker, Penta Mexican Destroyers. You had Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio turning on each other in the match. You have that moment where you have Finn, I believe he takes out Penta with a sling blade, and he stands up, and you see Dom slither into the ring, and you hear the crowd in the stadium just go, Oh, as they start to rise and realize that Dominic is standing up, and he kind of just gives a little like head turn, just like screw it, and he runs up and he pushes Finn down to the ropes in position for the 619, and then Finn catches the 619, starts stomping away on him, and then eventually, I think maybe Dom gets his lick back. I'm not really sure, and we get to the finish. This is probably without a doubt one of my favorite finishes in any match ever. We get this moment where Braun Breaker gets taken out. He goes through a table. He spears Carlito. That's another great moment. He spears Carlito through the table on the outside. Penta gets taken out by a spear. Braun rolls in. He's like really distraught, obviously, from going through the table. And you get Finn Balor, sling blade, shotgun drop kick into the corner. And Finn takes out Dom by hanging him up on the top rope because he 619'd Braun Breaker. And that's why Braun Breaker was down. Gosh, it's been so long since I've watched that match. I need to go back and rewatch it. It's so good. And it's been a long time. I mean, it's been probably about a month since I've watched it. And so Dominic is now down in the corner, like up on the top rope, like keeled over. And you get Finn hitting the coup de grace. And the camera, if you watch the match, is pointed at Finn and Braun Breaker. And the second he goes for that pin, you hear the stadium erupt. Absolutely erupt. And we're talking about they're erupting for the guy who comes out and is getting absolutely booed to hell. Booed so loud that the cameras are shaking. They see him stand up on the top rope. And everybody just lights up. Everybody's cheering. Frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Dominic Mysterio, Intercontinental Champion. And it's funny. And the reason that this match just stands out to me is because, again, the biggest heel, one of the biggest heels in the company, gets booed like hell week in and week out. WrestleMania 41 rolls around, getting booed to hell. Halfway through the match, though, you hear some Dirty Dom chants rolling. And that's kind of the first time we had really heard those. Hear some Dirty Dom chants rolling. He ends up getting the win. And the roof blows off the place. And originally what they were going to do is he was going to win the title and he was going to like sneak out and run away. So he runs away and then he decides to come back in and celebrate it with everybody else. The heel, the big heel in the company decides to run back into the ring, stand up on the top rope, show off his Intercontinental Championship. And man, that match was good. That's such a cool match. Whenever you're just like breaking down the logistics of it. So that's probably my other one of my top 4. So for my, what did I want to call this? This is my Mount Rushmore of non-singles, I guess, triple threats and fatal 4-ways. I have Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. I have Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. I have the women's evolution, Naomi versus Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. And then also, of course, Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. Those are probably my favorites personally. If you have different ones, make sure to drop them down below. I'd love to hear them. Jump back over to SmackDown. Sami Zayn spoils the match between CM Punk and Kevin Owens. This was pretty depressing because I wanted KO to win. Makes sense, though, because I think now we're going to run Sami Zayn versus Punk versus KO, most likely at Money in the Bank. Sweet. Maybe. I think they can last that long. What is it? It's about a month and a half until Money in the Bank. So 6 to 7, sorry for making the joke, but 6 or 7 SmackDowns until that time. I think they can probably make that work. They can have some matches with Sami Zayn and KO. Punk gets involved. They can kind of build up this feud towards Money in the Bank. I actually am totally fine with that. And it was a really good match between KO and Punk. Seems like there was a lot of, emotion that they were displaying in the match. And so I enjoyed it. Sami Zayn gets involved. A lot of people hated it because they wanted to just see the payoff to this match, the end all be all. But this is a moment where you see Sammy get involved and you realize that now they're going to have a triple threat somewhere down the line that's going to be a really good match. So not much to say about it. Let me see. What's next? What are the worst Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time. Give me your top 3. If you guys want to give me your top 3, drop them down below. They should all be the same. Let's start at the third worst. I'll go third to 1. And everybody's number 1 should be the exact same, I would think. Honorable mention goes to anybody who's ever gone, dude, we're going to have our match at this time. I'm going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase early so we have a match at Hell in a Cell or whatever it is. It's like, if you do that, you're an absolute chud loser. That's not what the Money in the Bank briefcase is about. Number 3, let's talk about Baron Corbin. Our boy Baron Corbin gets distracted after he cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase and gets rolled up by Jinder Mahal. Getting rolled up and losing a Money in the Bank cash-in to Jinder Mahal is easily the most embarrassing thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Number 2, this one was kind of tough, but I got to talk about Damien Sandow. And I think, now this isn't towards the character, this is towards the booking, because if you go back and watch him win the Money in the Bank briefcase, yo, that place actually flips their shit whenever he wins. It's unbelievable. Which is so random for like the biggest jobber of the 2010s, kind of, in Damien Sandow. And people really liked him at that time. And so John Cena gets injured during this match, and not Jinder Mahal, jeez. Don't hinder Jinder, I guess. But Damien Sandow, his music hits. Everybody freaks out. He runs down to the ring. Now, granted, he's a heel. He's a jobber heel. He comes out and he attacks John Cena, cashes in. And then John Cena just hits him with 1 AA and wins the match. And he doesn't successfully cash in. Really? Really? 1 AA? Again, John Cena, Cena Hogan, whatever you want to say. But, like, I think that him not winning that belt is really stupid. First of all, because he was so over. Second of all, just because it would have been funny. The guy that literally loses every single match would come in and beat John Cena for the world title. Like, what a story that would have been. Like, everybody would have remembered that moment. Now, nobody remembers that Damien Sandow lost to John Cena with the Money in the Bank briefcase and 1 AA. Nobody ever talks about it because it's stupid. If you would have had this moment, he could have held it for literally a day. He could have held it for a week. It could have been like a Sami Zayn style, lose it in 4 days or whatever it was. It didn't need to be anything crazy. But he could have at least won it from John Cena, had the moment. People would have been like, oh my gosh, Damien Sandow's the world champion. And then he just loses it right back. He could have lost it right back to John Cena the next taping of Raw, next taping of SmackDown, whatever it was. That one's pretty terrible as well. This is the worst one of all time. Number 1, Austin Theory. Austin Theory, if you guys do not know, cashed in on the United States Championship and lost. Yeah. He was in an ongoing feud with Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. He cashes in, Bobby Lashley gets involved, ruins his cash in. And what's stupid is Austin Theory, the very next week, goes on to beat Seth Rollins. For I believe it was for the championship, or just beats him in a one-on-one match, whatever it was. Austin Theory ends up becoming the United States champion. But why didn't you do it then? Like, you're already having him cash in on the U.S. title. The reason being, of course, like, unfortunately, just bad timing, realistically. That's right when Roman was doing his 1,000-day reign. He couldn't cash in on Roman Reigns because it's Roman Reigns. And he had some really good segments during that time where, Roman was like, dude, you're just not to my level. Don't even try. And Austin Theory was like, no, I'm going to do it. Maybe not. I am going to do it. Maybe not. And then they just had him settling for cashing on the U.S. title. I think most people, and I think even Austin Theory has said this in the past, he would have rathered lost against Roman Reigns because at least his character would have tried. Instead, they made him try and cash in for the U.S. title, and he still lost. Like, that's just pretty embarrassing, terrible booking, unfortunate situation, and I feel like that's going to dampen Austin Theory's career, like, literally for the rest of his life. But that's just, like, not what Money in the Bank is about at all. Let's jump over to Raw really quick. Just got a few things on here, mostly just about the big lucha guys. Rey Fenix and Dragon Lee. My goodness. Absolutely fried in their match. Dragon Lee, of course, the suicide dive over the table to the outside. Rey Fenix, dog, Dragon Lee, Dog. I think this has potential for like Raw match of the year. I don't know if that's like technically an award, but this like was a non-PLE match that just killed it. So I think for just a normal match on Raw, this was potentially match of the year. These luchadors, man, I don't know what they are getting fed, but it's must be something nice because they're just killing it. Up next, Lola Vice is making her debut on the 14th. What do I think they're going to do with Lola Vice? Dude, I got no clue. I think it would make sense for Lola Vice to come in and kind of just go after Raquel Rodriguez in the IC title. Would make the most sense to me that she'd be in that field. I definitely don't see her doing like a JC Jane or doing a JC Jane. She does have the mid-card championship right now, so I guess it's not a great example, but she's going to do I don't think she's going to do this thing where she goes immediately to the main event. And she is very good, but I don't think she's a main event talent yet, especially with the girls right now because the girls are kind of whooping up at the moment. So I think, yeah, she goes after the IC title. Maybe they start this thing with Lola and Raquel. Maybe Soul gets involved. They have their history, Soul and Lola. So I could see them just doing something in the mid card with the women, and hopefully she doesn't turn into like this insane jobber. Like I almost feel like she could get on this Ivy Nile train where she's just like the stepping stone into the mid card. Like, I don't know. Hopefully they don't do that, but I'm kind of excited to see what they end up doing with her. Let's jump over to Reddit again. I want to talk about what this guy posted. This guy is named Wonky Donkey _69420. Hilarious, by the way. And he posted this thing the other day. Actually, today, 9 hours ago. He said, the truth with quote unquote jobbers. And I'm going to read you what he had to say. I'm kind of going to talk through my thoughts. I keep seeing people berate WWE for having some people take pins. For example, over the last few years, names like Roxanne Perez, Julia, JD McDonough, Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, Alpha Academy, Carmelo Hayes, and a few others be listed as jobbers. And while some like Chelsea Green and Carmelo Hayes have overcome that jobber status and gone on to become mid-card, and in Chelsea's case, world champion, other names are still stuck in that quote-unquote jobber purgatory. But here's the thing. As much as I hate seeing people like I like JD McDonough and Roxanne Perez and Julia not win a lot of matches, I'm okay with it because that's the way it is. Not everyone needs to go on winning streaks, and wrestling rosters are built on hierarchies, similar to an ancient Roman city, which is kind of a weird way to put it, but I see where he's coming from. We have the main eventers, upper mid-card, lower mid-card / jobbers. People obviously need to take losses in order to maintain this hierarchy that has always been prevalent. While again, obviously it sucks seeing someone you root for always be the pedestal to boost someone else up. Every dog, okay, that's okay. He worded this very weird, so I'm just going to like paraphrase this. Every dog has its day eventually, and even if they don't, if they lean into them being lower mid-carders, they could potentially find success. In some instances, it even saved careers by people being jobbers. No one would remember guys like Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins if they were just another mid-carder. But due to them embracing their jobber status, they've become legends in a way. Overall, it sucks seeing favorites become jobbers, but every company needs them. Not everyone can be main eventers. To paraphrase Syndrome, if everyone's a main eventer, then no one is. I think that this guy just dropped like the biggest logic truth bomb of all time. And I 100% agree with him. Now, I come on here and I'll say like, oh my gosh, why is Dominic losing every single match? Why is JD losing every single match? Why is, Chelsea Green's your champion, but she's losing every single match? Like, and I do normally back it up with evidence, but sometimes I'm on here and I'm like, man, JD McDonough hasn't won a match since 2024. And I know that statistic probably isn't right. Definitely isn't right. But you got to realize that people have soft spots for jobber wrestlers or people within that jobber spot. And I think that that's such an important position to be in. Like someone we were just talking about, Ivy Nile. Ivy Nile is the definition of the women's jobber. A girl comes in, from NXT, and she immediately is going to have a match with Ivy Nile. Someone new wins the Intercontinental Championship, and guess what? The first person they're going to face is Ivy Nile. Why? Because she is the stepping stone. And there's nothing wrong with that. People have made careers, like this guy said, they have made careers off of being the stepping stone. I mean, look at The Miz. Now, of course, The Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. But early on in his career, Miz was the stepping stone to everyone. If they needed some guy to go out and take a loss, get squashed, do this, do that, Miz would always say yes. And now he's finding all this success and he's seeing all this love because he more than paid his dues. And, it does suck to be, labeled a jobber. Like for people like, JD McDonough and Roxanne Perez are just two of the examples I'm going to use from what he said. I am huge fans of theirs, but I understand that they can't go out and just randomly win every single match because right now that's not their job. Some point in the future, there's going to be someone who takes their place and, maybe they leave the company. But maybe they go on and JD McDonough's the Intercontinental Champion. Maybe Roxanne Perez wins Money in the Bank. But for right now, they need to fill that slot of I'm the stepping stone, I'm the punching bag, I'm the beat up doll. And you kind of just got to roll with the punches until you get that moment where you can make your mark and you can jump out, like people like Carmelo Hayes, where he jumped out and he was the U.S. champ, like people like Chelsea Green, who lost every single match and then won a ladder match to become the women's champion. Like, I think that this was such a cool thing for this guy to write out, and he made perfect sense to me. So shout out Wonky Donkey 69420 on Reddit. I can't tell you guys how excited I am for Braun Breaker versus Obafemi. Now, they had that moment, obviously, with the contract signing where Austin Theory gets involved. He gets put through a table, shocker. And now it's, Braun versus Oba. But I think that the story they've built around this of Braun Breaker wants to be the future of the company. Obafemi is being labeled as the future of the company. And they are kind of fighting for that title is a really cool story to go off of. I think it's two powerhouses running at each other, and this is going to be a banger match. I got nothing else to say. Main event. Let's talk about the main event. First of all, Solo Sikoa, very first segment, doing the Matrix, dodge was hilarious to the warning shot. The warning shot. Pew. But so they end up having this main event where OTM makes a debut alongside Royce Keys. I'm not going to hate on this quite yet. I want to see where they go, but I just put down here why. It seems weird that they debuted OTM and Royce Keys at this moment where we have already been building a story of Solo and LA versus the Bloodline. And instead you're going to throw in these other guys. Why? Why not wait until this whole saga is done? That would make a lot more sense to me. And again, I like OTM. I do. I think they are absolute powerhouses. I think it's another tag team for Raw. But also, it's interrupting the storyline between LA Solo and the Usos. Kind of just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, maybe they're going to build up this story a little bit better in the oncoming weeks, but this is just my first impression. It's almost, to me, it seems like they're trying not to make Usos heels. It's like they saw the Bloodline and people, hating on them, but, of course, they're heels. They're doing their job. It seemed like they were going in that heelish direction, and creative thought to themselves, well, no, don't do that. Let's debut an even healer team. So now the Usos are not the heels in this story. I guess they'd be the tweeners, but they're still heels. They're just the less bad heels. That's kind of just what it seems like to me. I think Bronco and Lucian, by the way, are a really good team. Royce Keys is involved as the leader of this new faction. Cool. Again, I'm not the biggest Royce Keys fan. I never have been. I haven't understood his character. In ring, he's fine. I don't have any beef with him. It's just he's just not my preferred cup of tea. Now, OTM, I think, should literally just go win the tag titles. Right now. I think the Vision need to run into them, and OTM's we're going to have a match. and it gets made official, and Braun Breaker gets distracted by Obafemi, and then OTM pin Austin Theory. Boom, new tag champs. I think that's literally the best idea ever. I think that's my best idea I've ever had. Because if you want to make this team, this heel team, feel strong, then you have them win. So shout out OTM. Good job for getting the step up. But I just am kind of confused on why they would interrupt the storyline with this. And I'm kind of just waiting to see where this goes. For our last thing on here, we're going to have something that might take me a little bit. We have a WWE chart, which is what I'm going to call this. And this is what it looks like. So for people who are just listening on the podcast, it is a chart with, on the top, it says, like jobber, mid-carder, lower main event, mega main eventer along the top. And then down the left side, it says jobber, mid-carder, lower main event, mega main eventer. And I'm trying to remember what exactly this thing looked like. Oh, there's the tweet from that guy if you guys want to reread it. I'm trying to figure out the way the person wanted it. Okay, it's supposed to be on the left side, is actually a jobber, mid-carder, lower main event, mega main event. And then it says deserves to be a jobber, mid-carder, lower main event, mega main event. So the top is deserved. The side is what they are currently. So let me see. Matt Cardona's here because he was like auto-loaded onto here whenever I pulled the picture off of Reddit. But so who's a jobber that deserves to be a jobber? And what I have here is I have SmackDown Hotel, big fan of their website. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to kind of sit here and scroll through some ideas. And I'm going to kick it off with Ivy Nile. Let me pull Ivy Nile into this right now because, okay, don't do this. I'm going to have to insert every single image. Oh, I can't even do it. Oh, that's awesome. Wow. See, this is why I just hate, this is why I hate like photo formats, because every time I try to do something, it's like, oh, it's not the right format. And then it just makes me freak out. I think Ivy Nile is the perfect jobber position, because now saying someone deserves to be a jobber might sound a little mean, but like right now, she hasn't really done anything to get out of that jobber position. I think she does a good job at elevating talent, like I was kind of just talking about. And to me, that kind of makes sense to put her at the jobber slot where she deserves to be a jobber and she is a jobber. Now let's go down. Let's see, what was it? What was it again? It was who is actually a mid-carder who deserves to be a jobber. Yeah, this is going to be really hard to remember. Let me grab some text. No. Man, I hate Google Slides. I hate Google Slides. It's the worst, literally the worst format of all time. What if we just made something suck? That's what they said. They said, let's make some website that just absolutely blows and everybody's going to have to use it because there's almost no other option. That's what they were saying. Now, I do have to insert a text box. And up here, we're going to put deserves. And then down here, we're going to put actually is. Hopefully that kind of helps you guys track this a little better. This might be really hard for podcast viewers to like listen to. So who actually is a mid-carder who deserves, who's actually a mid-carder who deserves to be a jobber? I mean, I think, sadly enough, like this is where Matt Cardona sneaks into my mind. Reason being is just because like he right now is working as the stepping stone from what gosh, that's a huge comp. Okay. Really? It just decided to screw me over. That was cool. It just got rid of all of my stuff. All right. The reason I'm putting Matt in like actually is a mid-carder but deserves to be a jobber is just because like they're putting him in situations right now where it's like, oh, he's like almost in the US title scene. He's going against Gunther and yeah, he's losing. Like you could potentially put him as a jobber, but to me it feels like he's like kind of breaking into that mid card a little bit more. He kind of just deserves to be, he's a mid carder, kind of deserves to be a jobber just because like that's the role he's been playing, and I haven't seen any reason for him to get out of that role quite yet. Who deserves to be a jobber, but's in the lower main event? Oh gosh, now this is where I'm gonna get mean. So this is basically. Oh wait, no, this is easy. This is Royce Keys. Duh, we were just talking about him. Again, I've already kind of explained my thoughts about Royce, and it's just like I just don't understand his character. I don't understand the point of him. He hasn't like wowed me in any sense, but he's always somewhere around the bloodline and the main event scene. So lower main event kind of fits well for him, and I think I think he deserves to be a jobber, I guess. Now I don't mean that in like a mean way, but like that's kind of just what I have to do for this chart. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. You can like just tell me to shut up. But I do think that he's a lower main event guy who, for me personally, has a character that deserves to be a jobber. Mega main eventer that deserves to be a jobber. Oh, geez. So basically someone in the in the high main event scene that I think doesn't deserve to be there. Oh, man. Like, this is mean, it feels like, but I really don't care. Oh, wait, this is easy. This is easy. I don't even know why I didn't think about it. Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair. I just don't think she's that good. Nice typing from me, by the way. Charlotte Flair. Nice typing. I just think that the problem with Charlotte is that she's just so freaking boring and bland. She's the queen. She's the queen. She does the woo thing. Like, yeah. Why does she do the woo thing? Like, why do people like her so much? I've never been the biggest fan. She's a mega main eventer that could be a jobber tomorrow, and I would be happy. So that's probably going to be like the meanest side to do, because I'm basically saying that like this is where these people are, but they deserve to be lower in their, the job hierarchies. But yeah, if you don't agree, sorry. That's just what I think. Next, we're gonna pop over. We're gonna do the top. We're gonna do from left to right. So actually is a jobber that deserves to be a mid-carder, a lower main eventer, and a mega main eventer. Okay, so a jobber who deserves to be a jobber, Ivy Nile. A jobber who deserves to be a mid-carder, a jobber who deserves to be a mid-carder. At the moment, there's a few people that come to mind. You can think of people as like... like some tag team guys is the first thing that crosses my mind, like Nathan Frazier, like Kit Wilson's in there, but I'm actually going to save him for something else. Like Angel Garza, honestly, kind of comes to mind. I'm not going to do NXT guys, by the way, for anyone who's immediately thinking that. Akira Tozawa is a good one. I'm going to go a different direction. Who's currently a jobber, but I think deserves to be a main carder. I'm just gonna say the Creed brothers, but Julius Creed. Oh my gosh, wait, it's WWE, not his like wrestling background. Julius Creed, I think, is an absolute freaking demon, and I don't understand why he doesn't get used ever. It actually really, how do I say this nicely, pisses me off. He got used kind of down in AAA for a little bit, but that's like all we saw from him, and he needs to get used more. I think he'd be a cool mid-card talent. Like if he was chasing after like the IC title or the US title, I think it'd look really good on him. And I just think it's pretty funny that he's just sat up here next to Ivy Nile. So yeah, for who is a jobber who deserves to be a mid-card, I'll give it to Julius Creed. Jobber who deserves to be lower main event, this is where we're going with Kit Wilson. I think Kit Wilson could legitimately be such a key player in the WWE. I think he's great in the ring. Obviously, he's fantastic on the mic. People love him. His character's great, and they've kept him off TV for I couldn't tell you how long, and it makes me upset. So Kit Wilson, I'm gonna put jobber, but deserves to be lower main event. And then who deserves to be a mega main eventer that is currently a jobber? This is easy. It's Austin Theory. I mean, like, come on. The dude has everything. He has the skills in the ring. I think he's solid on the mic and not the greatest of all time. People like him. You see him outside the WWE, and he just seems like such a down-to-earth guy. Like, him not being at least in the conversation to be in, like, the lower main event card is ridiculous. And this dude's just a tag team champion taking pins and pins and pins and pins week in and week out. And it just sucks what they are doing to him right now. So I'm gonna put Austin Theory up there. Let's go back down. So we have who deserves to be a mid-carder, but is actually a mid-carder. And then, okay, so, oh gosh. See, this is where it's gonna get hard. A mid-carder who deserves to be a mid-carder. I'm looking through here. And I'm seeing JD McDonough, but I think I'm going to save him. Big Cass. Big Cass just made his debut. I think Big Cass fits the mold for a mid-card, stepping stone type of guy pretty perfectly. I kind of want a new picture of him. This is whenever he's a little bit flubby. He's a little flubby in this photo. Oh my gosh. I don't remember him looking like that, but granted, like now he's just absolutely yoked. He's probably been on like Gear and TRT and who knows what else. He's a mid-carder that I think deserves to be a mid-carder. He'd be a good like stepping stone for people who are trying to get over into the main event scene. And if they beat someone as big as Big Cass, it's like, cool. You can probably hang with people in the lower main event. Mid-carder who deserves to be lower main event. Now, here's the thing. JD McDonough is like I would say borderline jobber, but I'm gonna pretend he's a mid-carder for this one. JD deserves to be definitely deserves to be in there for sure. Wow, this is a chopped picture of JD. Oh well, I'm gonna use it. I can't even use it because it's a web P or whatever kind of file type that is. Boom, there's a photo. I think that JD is so freaking good and so like overlooked within the WWE and even by most people. So he is the lower main event. Oh wait, no, shoot. Did I do this wrong? Deserves to be a mid-carder, but is actually, oh wait, okay, no. So JD deserves to be lower mid-card, but is actually a mid-carder. Now he might actually be a jobber, but I'm just gonna say screw you and I'm gonna do whatever I want. Who's a mid-carder that deserves to be the mega main eventer? This is where we are putting Dominic Mysterio. Like, what am I supposed to freaking say? He's the mega champion, and he just lost a match to freaking Dragon Lee. They're booking him like trash on WWE TV week in and week out. We've seen how good he is. The feud with his dad, the feud with Finn Balor, like, and they gave him nothing with that feud with Finn Balor, and him and Finn did the best they could to kind of make that happen. And so he's a mid-carder, like losing to Danhausen. Like 2026 has been a terrible year to be a Dominic Mysterio fan, and like he deserves to have a championship belt like on the main card, like around his waist. I think he's just genuinely that good. Okay, deserves to be a mid-carder, but is actually lower main events. Ooh, so someone that's like kind of just punching above their weight class right now. Like I guess I'm seeing Bailey. Now, she hasn't been on TV in a while, but I think Bailey would kind of make sense. Lyra Valkyria is kind of in the mix there as well, but they're both kind of mid-card-esque, I guess is what you could say. I think SmackDown is where we're going to find someone here. Like Nikki Bella. Like, Nikki Bella is not great. She kind of deserves to be, like, I don't know, maybe, like, not even in the company at this point. But who knows? Like, oh, Paige. Paige is a really good one. Paige seems like she's getting put in the lower main event, but she really deserves to go after like the US title. Like she needs to be in the mid card. So yeah, give me Paige to fill that slot. I think that's a fairly solid pick. Wow, she has like no good pictures for me to put on here. Boom, there's her PNG. I didn't want to put like some random photo with a bunch of background on it because I feel like it would ruin the vibe of the chart at the moment. Yeah. Who deserves to be a mid-carder but is currently a mega main eventer. This is where I'm going to put Jey Uso. Don't hate me, don't shoot me. His in-ring is okay. He is okay on the mic. I have nothing wrong with Jey. It's just that he's just not my favorite, and he would do very well in the IC title scene, but he should be nowhere near the main event. Who deserves to be in the lower main event, but is actually in the lower main event? This is just screaming Sami Zayn to me. I feel like that's pretty fair. I totally just spelt his last name wrong. Sami Zayn is good enough to be in the main event. He's kind of like sitting around I guess he's technically in the main event right now. So wait, hold on. I can switch this up then for Sami. Actually is in the lower main event. No, he's actually a mega main eventer, but he deserves to be in the lower main event. I think that's probably a better place to put him. And then lower main event, who could we put in there? Who's someone that's coming to your guys' mind? Like, I'm seeing people like Damian Priest. That seems like a really good pick, actually, now that I think about it. Jacob Fatu would be another good shout. Jacob Fatu or Damian Priest. Lower main event and is actually a lower main event. That's Jacob Fatu to me. Because Damian Priest hasn't been in the main event, like the actual main event scene, in such a long time. It feels like. So yeah, give me Jacob Fatu to fill that slot. Who do we got next? Lower main event actually is a lower main eventer that deserves to be a mega main eventer. This, ladies and gentlemen, is of course Finn Balor. Finn Balor, I mean, dude, come on. Like, come on. What am I supposed to say, dude? This was like the most obvious one on the entire list, in my opinion. You listen to Finn, you win. Creative needs to listen to Finn, and they would maybe see some success and love from the fans or something. I don't know. Who's a mega main eventer that deserves to be a mega main eventer? Okay, am I going to pick CM Punk or am I going to pick Roman Reigns? I'm going to pick Roman Reigns because I'm a bigger fan of Roman. And that should finalize this little graph. Maybe? Yeah. This actually is pretty fun. You guys should get on and do this for yourselves. I don't know how you will. I think you can maybe just find this on Reddit somewhere. But so yeah, mega main eventer, deserves to be a mega main eventer. That's Roman Reigns. I think I filled out this chart pretty well. Now, you might not agree with everything on here, but this is like coming from me personally, kind of just like the way I kind of feel. So if you guys thought this was fun, make sure to tell me down below. This episode actually ran a lot longer than I thought it was going to, just considering, of course, I didn't have too much to actually talk about. But other than that, I got nothing for you guys. So if you want to do me a favor, go down below, like and subscribe, maybe hit the bell. Along with that, if you're on Spotify, make sure to rate the podcast. You might be able to leave a comment, rate a podcast on Apple Podcasts. I'm not really sure. But I got nothing for you guys. Hopefully, I will see you back here next week. I do have a video that I'm currently working on. It's another Pokemon and WWE collab video, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. And that's all I got for you guys. So stay safe and stay happy. Hi, you guys. Oh gosh, no. Wow, I messed up. No, I messed up my outro. No. Stay safe and stay happy, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.